Thank you so much, Dinkar, for the confirmation. Thank you, Tapsi. And we are rolling in next 30 seconds. Perfect. Awesome. So thank you so much, Mr. Dinkar and my dear Tapsi. Thank you for being on the show. प्राइवेसी की पाठशाला में आप लोगों का स्वागत है एज अ ज्यूरी एंड एज अ पैनलिस्ट। चलिए आज हम समझते हैं प्राइवेसी का गूढ़ मंत्र क्या है और प्राइवेसी होता क्या है, राइट? और हमारे साथ बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस होंगे, रियल फैक्ट्स, रियल फिगर्स एंड सटीक बात, सही बात और लोगों के दिमाग में जानी चाहिए, उस पर हम लोग चर्चा करेंगे। सो ओवर टू यू Dinkar, ki, what's privacy for you, and what you think about privacy in terms of people should take it? तो वहां पे हम लोग सबसे नीच जाते हैं, प्राइवेसी होता क्या है, साइबर प्राइवेसी का नीच क्या है, और mold an answer in such a way that people should know. Very basic. Over to you, Dinkar.
So, thank you for having us, for starters. And privacy, I would like to say that privacy, at its very basis, is the right to be anonymous, is the right to be who you want to be. If you are under societal pressure or peer pressure or under fear from the government, you are never free to be yourself. Privacy makes sure that you get to be the best person that you can be, according to your ideas, your morals, and your beliefs. This is why the Supreme Court, in the Puttaswamy judgment, came out and said that privacy in itself is a fundamental right. That the Supreme Court was very clear in the fact that all citizens have a right to their private life, to their private correspondence, to their private well being, and to their physical self. The Personal Data Protection Bill, which has been forwarded by the Indian government, which is being mooted at the moment, is a good step in the right direction. It is not perfect, but it is a good step. Now, privacy for most people doesn't really mean anything because they don't really seem to see it as a value. But the fact is this: to say that you don't care about your privacy because you have nothing to hide is like saying that you do not want to say anything because you do not value the freedom of speech because you don't have anything to say, or because you don't value the freedom of gathering with other people because you are an antisocial person. Just because you don't value it today doesn't mean that you or your coming generations will not value it. The loss of privacy can lead to your manipulation. Most people do not realize it. A lot of people that did see the movie called the Social Network, the Social Dilemma, I apologize, came to realize just how much of an impact something like this can have in your life. And now, with the advent of facial recognition technology, this is set to take a big leap. Your face can be turned into an identity card. This is not something that you can change. You do not have the freedom or the leisure to change your face. And yet, at the moment, when the Indian government is investing heavily in what is called the automated financial recognition system, they've put aside 380 crores for it, even during this pandemic, says a lot about the values that the government is investing in this. Now, similar arrangements exist in Europe and in US. However, both of these places have some regulations regarding the roles that such a system can play and when and if it can be used. If anybody and anyone and everyone can be subjected to financial recognition systems without their knowledge, and this is the important part, without their knowledge, when you are in a public space, you're not aware of all the cameras that are pointing at you. You may not even know when you have been recognized or identified. The scary part is that a lot of these systems are not even perfect. They have a lot of failures. Now, if you are identified wrongfully as a terrorist, what do you do then? You can argue with the person that has identified you. However, how do you argue with an artificial intelligence algorithm?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. So I'll come back on this face recognition, and a lot many you will understand in depth why it is important and why not it is important. What are the disadvantage of face, which I'll come back. I'll go straight to Tapsi. What's your take on privacy? Like, आपके लिए privacy क्या है और कितना ज़रूरी है, and why it is important that we always talk about privacy is a human fundamental right, but why it is. So over to you, Tapsi. What's your take on it?
Thank you, Diksha. It is great to join this discussion. So, first of all, very often people ask me that, I'm not a celebrity, I am not a big shot. Then why is privacy important for me? What if somebody's collecting information? I mean, there's nothing secret about my life. If somebody wants to find out where I live or who I am or what I do, I'm fine with it. So, like Dinkar mentioned, privacy is it has been held to be a fundamental right. Now, that's a legal perspective, but in our common everyday lives, why is privacy important? It is important because well, of course, there is a situation where you might be targeted for certain products. There is behavioral studies done. There are marketing campaigns who manipulate your choices. You get certain products that you might not need, but because there are systems and softwares following your habits, your likes, dislikes, they target you with certain products, and sort of convince you to buy those. These are some aspects where privacy it becomes a challenge. Tomorrow there might be identification, like Dinkar mentioned, that you might be identified to be someone who you're not. Or if you express an opinion on an issue, on a social topic, how that is perceived, how you are targeted for it, all these fall within the ambit of privacy. Biometric information, it can be misused, there can be identity thefts, so many issues which get associated with privacy of an individual. So as common people, as in our day to day lives, privacy is a less understood concept in our part of the world, but in many countries now it's a very very valued right. It is taken very seriously, and the reason is this, that everybody should have the right to live their lives in their own ways without being judged, without being questioned, without being under this constant threat of someone else interfering in their lives all the time. So all these aspects, we might not see them very clearly in our day to day lives, but behind the scenes somewhere all of us are getting exposed. All privacy is something which is vulnerable for
Compromised,
everyone, and
yes.
it affects. Yes, there's already so much about us out there, and we don't know how it's being used. So now is the time to start thinking about it seriously, to take it seriously, to know what information you're willing to share, what information you're not willing to share, and for what purpose.
Superb. Thank you. Thank you for a great insight, Tapsi. Why privacy is very important. Why should we take privacy as an important subject? I think this is the right time where we have to go ahead and ask lot of questions कि मेरे phone में ये app क्यों है right, and why I should select a privacy. Okay, I accept the terms and condition without even reading it. Absolutely correct, Tapsi. So coming back to Dinkar, sorry for that. Coming back to Dinkar, yeah, so there's some flying. So coming back to you, आपने बताया कि फेशियल रिकग्निशन का हनन कैसा हो सकता है, मतलब आपका डेटा, कैन आई चेंज फेस, आई कैन नॉट चेंज फेस, राइट, आई कैन चेंज रेटिना, नो आई कांट, दीज आर माय पर्सनल आइडेंटिफिकेशन, आई कैन नॉट चेंज एवर. So what's your take when you talk about how face can be manipulated in future, and so many company who make hardwares, the data can be transmitted through embedded to some other servers without or probably unknowingly by the user. So what's your take, Dinkar, over to you.
In fact, to build on that, I would like to start off with an example. Now,
Sure.
Google itself does not allow facial recognition technology when you run an image search. Although it may find you similar images of the same person, it doesn't follow up on the facial recognition technology aspects of it. However, there is a website called Yandex, which is operational in China. It is also known as Google in China. Now, that website allows you to run facial recognition searches. Imagine if you are sitting across from a girl in a cafe. Now, you like the girl. You think, okay, maybe I should approach her, but you think maybe I should find out a little more before I approach her. You click a photo of her underhandedly and then run such a search on Yandex. You will be able to figure out almost every detail of this woman's life. Now, what if she's standing next to the new car that she bought? You will be able to run down her number plate and get her address. Can you imagine that? Somebody who you have no right, somebody who has no right to access this information will be able to do so very easily. That is why facial recognition technology represents a very clear and present threat. There has to be regulations. See, the Puttaswamy judgment laid down 4 steps that it should be legal, it should be necessary, it should be proportional, and there should be procedural safeguards. Now, there is no law. The necessity can be challenged on the ground that there are other ways to identify people. There are no procedural safeguards because there is no law. And to say that we are going to monitor everyone to make sure that a few wrongdoings do not happen is not really proportional. So, according to me, facial recognition technology, as it stands in India at the moment, falls flat on all 4 grounds and cannot and should not be allowed. Because, as Tapsi said very rightly, the public as of yet is unaware of it. They do not appreciate the importance of something like this. The algorithms that they employ learn from these photographs, but they do not own these algorithms. These algorithms are owned by somebody else. A lot of these algorithms are owned, whether directly or indirectly, by a company called Clearview.ai. Now, Clearview.ai did something called scraping of social media, by which I mean that they gathered and collected and downloaded every publicly available photograph on the website. Now, Google, Facebook, YouTube, everyone sent them legal notices saying that you cannot be allowed to do this. However, they went around and said that this is the right to a free speech. We are only accessing publicly available media. What they did with this collection of photographs was to build one of the most comprehensive facial recognition algorithms ever built. Now, any user who put up their photographs on, say, LinkedIn or Facebook never agreed to such a use. They were completely unaware of it. And now their data, their face, their very identity is at risk. Now, what if somebody was to hack Clearview? Identity theft would be the easiest thing in the world. I only started down this line because back in 2009, somebody actually managed to get a copy of my identity card, managed to do some fraudulent transactions, which ended in a very tense phone call with police officers for me. And I had to tell them, I had to prove to them that I wasn't even in the country at the moment when these things happened. And I was thankfully actually out of the country. Had I been in the country, for me to prove that I didn't do these illegal acts would have been very, very difficult.
Absolutely.
The fact now is that now is the time to prepare for it. Once this technology is employed, see, this is a genie. Once it's out of the bottle, it's not going back in. There is going to be no way to undo this. Once this is out there and prevalent, there will be no going back. China is investing so much money in this, and the scariest part is that they own most of these algorithms indirectly. They have invested in the companies that own these algorithms. Now, would you want a Chinese company to own this kind of data? Uh, on a separate note, they also ended up giving part of this data to an entity called Skynet, which they use to monitor their individuals. That the name itself I find quite horrifying for anybody who see the Terminator franchise.
Terminator backside,
But
right?
they did so.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah, absolutely true, Dinkar. आपकी आवाज थोड़ी delayed आ रही है, but I managed. Thank you so much. That was true fact. I appreciate your fierceness and I appreciate your assertiveness and actually true things that you mentioned. So tell me, Dinkar, how important, like लोगों को तो पता नहीं होता कि उनकी क्या privacy है, क्या rules है, हम क्यों पढ़े, जबकि I always suggest to people, the moment you have your face as your identity, it can be connected to your bank account, your Aadhaar, everything. A person can take your face, put into drone and actually hit you hard. So this is very scary when we talk about face recognition and actually capturing your face and doing what not. Okay. यहाँ पे दिनकर क्वेश्चन आपके लिए ये है कि जितने भी कॉर्पोरेट्स फेस यूज कर रहे हैं unknowingly, knowingly, these privacy policies, what is your take on it and what is the challenge in next 3 years down the line, if I say so? Over to you, Dinkar.
Now, there are two concerns here.
Yeah.
One is when employees get tracked by companies, and the other is when consumers get tracked by companies. Now, I'll start with the consumers because that is the scariest part as far as I can hear. Imagine this. You walk up to a kiosk in a shop and start looking at a product. The kiosk may have facial recognition technology, which again would be backed by an algorithm that had access to your social media and knows your particular needs, your financial capacity, and starts advertising to you exactly what you need. Now, as far as what you need, it is fine. But what if it starts manipulating you? What if it starts playing on your fears or your beliefs and starts selling you things that you do not need? Because let's be clear here. These companies, they only care about their bottom line. They're not in it for social equality and justice. They have to make sure that their shareholders get the most benefit. So they will obviously go for the most revenue generating aspect of this technology. That may not be in the consumer's best interest. Now, as far as employees are concerned, companies are already using it to check for emotional instability in interviews. Now, this is a technology that has not been tested. There are no regulations on it. There are no actual clear, studies also done on it that say that yes, they can actually predict emotions or emotional states or truth or honesty. But companies are doing it anyways, and this without even informing the interview. They are not taking any informed consent because there is a complete legal vacuum as far as India is concerned. In other countries, they are still taking some consent or the other. California has passed the California Consumer Privacy Act and the Privacy Rights Act, under which both of these consents are necessary. There is the GDPR in the EU, from which our personal data protection bill is quite heavily influenced. The GDPR also prohibits something like this, but the PDP bill, since it is not a law yet, does not grant Indians the same protection. Now, what Indians as a community, as a people need to understand is how you can be manipulated when your face is out there, not as a part of you, but as a means of access to you, what you own, what you believe in, and what you say and do. It is very easy to manipulate someone when you have necessary information about them. And your face is your biggest and unalterable identifier.
Absolutely.
Companies may start tracking you across stores to figure out your purchasing capabilities. They may start tracking you across your social media, figure out your beliefs. They may start giving you targeted advertisements to focus your thinking along one specific path or the other.
Hmm.
This is also something that people need to understand. When they are faced with targeted news,
Hmm.
they can go down a very scary rabbit hole. It's very Alice in the Wonderland out there at the moment. And this is why the government needs to step in and say, no, we will not allow this. Now, I'll start by, let me end by saying this. San Francisco, which is the birthplace of this technology, was the first place to outlaw facial recognition technology. Can you imagine that? That
Absolutely.
in itself is a very powerful statement on this.
It is. It is. It is. Absolutely, Dinkar. I'll take a pause here, Dinkar. I'll quickly go to Tapsi and ask a very important question. Tapsi, are you there?
Yeah, right.
या परफेक्ट तापसी जैसे आज हमने देखा कि श्वेता के साथ उसका प्राइवेसी का हनन हुआ राइट सो एज अ पर्सन if you're conducting or hosting so say for example any media take any of this outsource application that you use for any video or audio application what are the responsibility when we talk about as a moderator and sitting and handling lot of people from home in mid of corona covid जब हम लोग अपना काम करते हो कितनी जरूरी है दूसरों की प्राइवेसी को भी रिस्पेक्ट करना जैसे अभी उनके साथ उनकी प्राइवेसी लीक हो गई उन्होंने अपना म्यूट नहीं किया तो क्या ये उनकी गलती है कि या क्या ये किसी मॉडरेटर की जिम्मेदारी बनती थी कि उसमें वहीं पे कुछ कदम उठाया जाए तो ओवर टू यू तापसी दैट इज फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन सेकंड तापसी आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन वेरी क्विक जैसे हम फेस की बात करें दिनकर जी ने बिल्कुल करेक्ट बोला ये आपका फंडामेंटल राइट है और यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन होना चाहिए आपका कंसेंट पूछना चाहिए वो एक पार्ट है एक और पार्ट है कि एज अ फीमेल एज अ वुमन कितना जरूरी है प्राइवेसी और अपना फेस ताकि लोग हमें ट्रैक न करें बिकॉज लॉट ऑफ क्राइम sex trafficking we have child abusing we have lot of other crime cyber crime for that matter is related to women privacy so over to you Tapsi what's your take on it go ahead
Yeah, so actually, absolutely, like you said, these threats are always looming on your head when your face is being used as your identifier. There's always a risk that someone is tracking you down, someone's watching you constantly. I mean, let's go many, many years back from now when this technology was not so rampant. If someone's standing outside my house constantly observing what you're doing day in, day out, where you go, where you come from, what you do, your activities, it by itself, it's a threat. It's harassment to some extent. If this is done digitally, where I'm not even aware that I'm being watched, or where someone's constantly following various maybe on social media, or like Dinkar mentioned, your purchasing habits, your behavior, your views, your day-to-day activities, it's a big threat, and it's a big threat for security, it's a big threat for your identity. So whether irrespective of whether you're a woman or a man or a child, these days children have access to internet connected softwares, and online classes are happening. And in fact, sometimes I worry because most of these online classes, schools are that are conducting these classes, they're video linked. And I mean, honestly, anybody can enter into that
Yeah.
conversation, or anybody can enter into that classroom.
Yeah.
They can identify children, they can, if there's facial recognition available, they can actually identify who's kid, and who's lives where, which school they go to, etc. So it's a Pandora's box. Once it's opened, there is no end to it.
Yeah. What?
And responsibility, like you mentioned, so of course, if this is where the whole aspect of the regulation comes into picture. uh, Information that I collect from you, if you hand me certain information about yourself, it is definitely my responsibility to ensure that it is safe, it is not leaked, it is not misused, it is used only for the purpose for which I have received consent from you, and not for any other purposes. If I have to ensure that I have taken all necessary measures to make sure that there is no leak, there is no threat to you. So this is as as a moderator, or a data controller, it's my duty to ensure these things.
Yeah.
And this is where regulation needs to very clearly lay it out there, that who is responsible. It can't obviously be just the responsibility of the data subject, of the person whose information it is. Of course, for example, if I consent to certain terms and requirements, for example, if there is a list of I agrees, and if I had the option to say I do not agree, but I, in my absent mindedness, I say I agree, then of course I have given out that permission. So I also have to be vigilant of what information I'm permitting to be used and what information I'm not permitting to be used. On the other hand, the person who's collecting your information, there's an equal responsibility on them to ensure that they also follow the consents, they also follow the requirements, and there is a proper process to it. Now, this is where, like Dinkar said, a regulation or a law is important. As of now in India, we do not have that. And but I do believe, and I've mentioned this before, I do believe that privacy and respect for privacy is something which should not be dependent on a legislation alone. It is a fundamental right, it is a human right, it has to be respected even if there is no law. As corporates, as a society, we have to be conscious of it. Just because there is no regulation, and there is no legal enforcement entity coming after me, doesn't mean that I rampantly go ahead and do whatever I wish for. So this applies to journalists, this applies to corporates, it applies to the law enforcement. Just because there's no law, of course we need a law, definitely we do, but somewhere there should be a social responsibility and a sensitivity to this issue for sure, because already there is so much out there. We are already exposed to such a large extent. It's important for us to realize our duty towards privacy and our rights equally.
Okay. Well said, Tapsi. I think you have articulated pretty well why it is important as an individual plus as a human right as well. Wonderful. So going back to Dinkar, last question to you, Dinkar. Why and what are the, see, I have been into corporates and having a discussion with so many MD, CXOs all the world. They have a point, Diksha, हम तो यूज कर रहे हैं बायोमेट्रिक और फेस, क्या होता है ये तो हमारे ऑफिस में डेटा है, बाहर नहीं जाता, राइट? तो यहाँ पे आपका क्या टेक है दिनकर कि क्या वाकई ये स्टेटमेंट सही है या इसका कुछ प्रोज एंड कॉन हो सकता है? ओवर टू यू दिनकर, व्हाट्स योर थॉट ऑन इट?
Well, actually, it is very rare that most companies have an on-site server system that manages all this data. Most of these are hosted off-site and are maintained by other data processors. Now, in the absence of a law, these data processors may also have access to this data. This all depends on the contract between the data owner, which in this case technically would be the company, despite the fact that you own your own face, and the contract between them and the data processor. For all you know, they might have access to somebody else, and the company may not even be openly aware of it. They might not have gone through the contract in such and such detail. They're only focused on the performance aspect of it, on the downtime, etc. They do not actually look for information that protects their employees' privacy, because as of now, there is no legal need to do so, or at least they feel so. It is only very few companies that are forward looking that have started walking in this direction. And I do mean started walking. By no means has any company in India completely complied with it. Even companies that have clear regulations in the US and UK do not comply with it in India on purpose. They already have established systems, but they do not do so. It is very rare that companies do so. Very few players like Microsoft have come forward and started saying, okay, this is what we are doing. And here is the complete use of your information, which they've done with their employees. MasterCard, I believe, has done so. There are other companies such as IBM which are moving in this direction, but nobody has as of yet come out and provided a complete solution that can, in fact, make sure that the data remains safe and it remains on site. Now, there is a degree of difference here. Everybody turns around and says, oh, you do this on your phone. What difference does it make if the company is also doing it? Now, let me be very clear. What your phone does is store your biometric data right on your device. If your device is lost or damaged, you will have to feed this data into the new device. It cannot access it from a cloud backup. Nobody else has access to it. It is on your device and it is only used for verification. Now, verification is a very simple algorithm which basically does a one-to-one. Is this the same person who is authorized to access this device? Yes. Access granted. However, what these companies do, and they might not even be aware of the fact that their algorithms are actually doing it, is that their algorithms are truly identifying people. Oh, this person went to the cafe at such and such time. This person is standing next to this colleague and talking at such and such time. This person was seen in the parking coming in at this time and leaving at this time. And then this algorithm, since it is owned by somebody else, may also track you across the store, halfway across the city, which has nothing to do with your employment. This same algorithm may track your movements on social media. Oh, he's just purchased a new car. Oh, he believes in such and such religion and goes to this temple.
Yes.
Or he supports such and such sports team.
Yes, yes. And I think, Dinkar, one more thing that I would like to add, probably you can help us, and then we'll go to one question with Tapsi. We have speech recognition machines, like we have Alexa and others, right? What happened? They compromise their data. Okay, somebody is talking, घर पे कुछ बात कर रहे थे, and सारा information store हो रहा है, data पे जा रहा है. So there is no something like, okay, we have to execute stop. Like कभी कभी आपका फोन रखा होता है और हम कुछ बोलते हैं और सिरी ऊपर से बोलते हैं no data found. मैंने तो तुमको पूछा ही नहीं, right? We have not executed it. Like I've not asked you to say something to me. So that's happening. So each and every data is going without the consent. So that is very important. So what's your take on it, Dinkar, in terms of speech recognition, which we don't have consent and still they are listening to us and storing to the server? What's your take on it?
Now, the fact is that Amazon, Google, and Apple have come out and very clearly said that you can come out and delete the data that we have stored with us. However, that does not alter the fact that their algorithm has already learned from this data. The moment it is uploaded, the algorithm starts analyzing it and starts learning it. Even if you go up to them and say, okay, I would like to delete my data every week, and you will have to make a separate new request every week to do so. You cannot tell them to do this every week automatically. You will have to approach them, follow what is essentially a very tedious process, and tell them that you have to delete my data. In this time, their algorithm will have learned your unique traits, your voice, your needs, and will be able to identify you the next time you speak out. Now, speech recognition in itself can be quite dangerous given the fact that our phones now, because of these smart assistants, are always listening. They learn your traits, your secrets. You're better than anybody else, even your life partner, because they are with you all the time. They know your reading habits, they know your browsing habits, they know your speech patterns, and can identify you across a number of systems, not just one, not just the system that they have. Depends on the integration of their algorithm with external systems, which is something that nobody talks about.
Absolutely.
Once the algorithm has learned who you are, what you do, how you speak, there is no way to make it unlearn it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful said, Dinkar. I think that's a wonderful point. Moving to Tapsi, offices may, if we talk about facial recognition, like a lot of corporates have this, कि यार biometric बंद हो गया, मैं face biometric use करूँगा, right? Which I personally always ask people, like, अगर आप मुझे 300 crore भी दोगे ना, I'm not going to make this until unless we don't have a regulation to do it a right way. So over to you, Tapsi. What do you think? As being a woman, a lot of people come to me that I'm not comfortable to show my face to a device, which device can that embedded goes to China or whatever. I mean, you are not creating embedded in India, right? Though we do. तो यहाँ पे कोई scrutinize नहीं होती. वो price देखते हैं. They see, okay, I can connect with the server, but what happened in the inside? So are you as a woman comfortable to show your face every time to a machine? And what is the pros and cons? Over to you, Tapsi.
So absolutely, like we've been discussing, I mean, it's a huge security risk, and facial recognition, load of when it came in initially, it was considered to be very sophisticated and very fancy, and people thought it's easy because you just need to put your face in front of a screen or a camera, and you're granted entry or whatever attendance systems required, etc. But it's like you said, what's happening in the back end, most of us are not aware of, and how that information, like you would expect your employee to be very responsible about this and to be very sure that it's safely, securely used. But honestly, there is no way to know. There are systems in Europe where they are putting companies under these requirements. They have to have a officer. They have to have a process built in. They can be scrutinized any minute. If there is a leak, uh, they have the responsibility to investigate that leak and to ensure that no further leaks happen. And of course, the fines are extremely heavy. So companies take it upon themselves to ensure that there is no security breaches and the systems are proper. But in India, we don't have all of this. And honestly, from where we are as of now, I don't see this happening anytime soon. So as a woman or man, and like I said before, it's a security threat. It is not something I would be comfortable doing. uh, Forget facial recognition, I'm not even comfortable sharing uh, Aadhaar or any other documents unless I know what purpose it is for. There are so many companies these days, online portals these days, which ask you to upload your Aadhaar for identity. They ask you to upload your driving license, and I do not understand what purpose it serves. Very often there are no consent forms. There is no option to opt out of it. All of these are great, huge violations of privacy, and I think it's about time that we, the government and in India specifically, comes up with a regulation. Corporates come up with privacy policies where they take responsibility for information they're collecting. They clearly mention how it is being used, for what purpose it is being used. They take clear consents, whether it's your employees or whether it's your customers. It is extremely important that privacy is valued now. And I mean, for me, it's definitely the need of the hour.
Brilliant, brilliant. Because I have seen cases in India, of course, I cannot name the company, but I've seen cases where, लड़कियों को बहुत दिक्कत होती है. If they say the face, then a lot of HRs or, they have the data, but then how they are misusing it, not especially, I'm not talking about in person or within the office, but अगर आपका device खराब होता है, आप data कैसे delete करोगे? You don't know how to delete the data.
Yeah,
And you will
absolutely.
give the device to
And
somebody. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
of
and
course.
gender profiling is a big issue.
Yes, of course.
Gender
Yes.
profiling is a big issue. Racial profiling is a big issue.
True, true,
Uh,
true.
lot of this
Absolutely.
information, maybe your employer won't be doing it, but like Dinka mentioned, this is hardly owned by the employer or held in the control of an employer. They're service
Yeah.
providers who are storing all this information,
Yes.
and how they misuse, we don't know.
Yeah, 1 second, Tapsi. Yeah. Dinkar, you have to say something. Yes, tell me. Time, I think.
I would actually like to build on what Tapsi said. Tapsi raised a very valid point. I would like to point out to a unique instance where a company called Verkada in California had installed such a surveillance system. Now, this was before the CCP and CPRA came along. And what happened was that a group was formed by some men in the company. Let me emphasize that some men, not all men, but some men in the company who started collecting photographs and images of these women at their desks of all their female colleagues. They started morphing these images. They built what came to be known as a locker room group. And the content of that group was quite, well, not in the appropriate sense. And a lot of women were offended by that. And they were quite horrified to find out that their own images had been morphed. And what they were also, scared to find out post this initial image grab from their desk was that this algorithm had not only tracked them across their office, but also across their own personal lives. And that they found the scariest of all. That instead of just limiting my interaction with these devices at my office, since the algorithm is the same, it recognized me across several other places and was able to put out these same photographs to my employer, who has no business having them,
Absolutely.
and to my colleagues who made an absolute mockery of me.
Correct, correct. We have seen. So Tapsi and Dinkar, you both said very correct. किसी को भी फर्क पड़ता है, but लड़कियों की पिक्चर ज्यादा मॉफ होती है. People use it for any other adult websites, or some they morphed it and without their consent. Of course, yes, they are using it, which is really really it's unfortunate. But Tapsi, आपका क्या राय है? Last question to both of you, and then probably we'll wrap up. When a corporate is using it, okay, अगर कोई facial biometric use करता है, वैसे तो मैं biometric के खिलाफ हूँ, आप क्यों use कर रहे हो, but still this has to be real and fact to clear to the people. अगर वो use करते हैं, who held responsible? Law नहीं है, but आपने सही बोला, privacy, Tapsi, that privacy has to be fundamental for me. I have to follow it whether rule is there or not, which is right. But अगर corporate follow करती है, तो कहीं पे भी breach होता है, who held responsible, the vendor or the company? Over to you, Tapsi.
So that is where the problem is. As of now, there is no process, there is no system as to who will be held responsible. Who carried out the breach? Ideally, the wave or the accepted protocols around the world and of all privacy legislations which have come in place is that the person who is collecting the data is also responsible. The person who is processing the data, whether it's your vendor, it's service provider, whoever is involved in that process, they're all responsible equally. So if you look at the GDPR, it's an extremely extensive legislation. It's a mammoth task to ever be able to completely comply with GDPR. But it is so comprehensive, it is so exhaustive that if in the ideal world it was followed, it would actually make privacy a very it would ensure that there is no privacy breaches. So what GDPR requires is that every level of processing, every level of collection, whoever is responsible, the whole chain is held responsible. If there's a breach, then it happens. The question is raised to every level. So if there's a breach, the controller will be questioned, the processor will be questioned. If there's a sub-processor, he'll be questioned. And everywhere they will look at where the breach happened. Was it, did, let's assume sometimes it's not intentional. Let's assume someone hacked into it. There was an illegal entry somewhere, or there was a malfunction. Even then, there is a question raised that did the controller or the data processor ensure that there were systems in place? The system might fail. It's all technology tomorrow. I mean, no, nothing is foolproof. It might fail, but did you take necessary steps to mitigate it? Did you inform the data protection officer well in time, the data protection authority well in time, that this breach has happened? Or did you just sit on it? Did you cover it up? Like, a lot of these cases are coming to light in Europe. Recently, a huge fine was imposed on a social media website, dating website, and the it is surprising, but these famous, websites where people go on a day-to-day basis and have their lives exposed almost, they do not take consents properly. They do not inform when there's a breach. So in Europe and other countries, that they are taking this very seriously, and responsibility is imposed on all those people involved in the chain, which is what is required. Unfortunately, of course, if the PDP bill becomes an act, the practicality of it is yet to be seen. There are a lot of things which are a little idealistic and not very practical, but it mimics GDPR to a large extent. If those processes are put in place, if companies do follow and they do ensure that those consents are properly taken, the security systems are there, the IT solutions are properly built in, the information is secured, it's anonymized, it's there is no access given to anybody who doesn't have access, permission to do certain things, and that consents are properly taken and the purpose is maintained, what purpose the information is used for. There's no data mining, there is no profiling, there are lots of things. If companies really, as a moral obligation, start doing it, then that's the step we need to, or that's the situation we need to go towards. Otherwise, responsibility, as of now, nobody, I mean, it's a blame game.
ओके ओके, वो बोलते हैं ना, तेरा क्या है जाता, नहीं मेरा क्या है जाता, तेरा सब है जाता. Super.
I mean,
So coming,
yeah.
yeah, perfect. Thank you, Tapsi. Coming back to Dinkar, what's your take? That's supposed to be the last question for you, Dinkar. What's your take? What do you think? Like, when this bill going to come, and what will be the impact pre and post? And second question, which again you can add on, is like, क्या जरूरी as an individual हम अपनी privacy को कैसे अपने पास रखे? Over to you, Dinkar.
Okay, so let me begin by stating what the current position is. Now, since you talked about the responsibility of a body corporate, there is the section 43A of the Information Technology Act. Now, that section says that wherever a body corporate handles or possesses personal data, sensitive personal data about any of its users, employees, what have you, then they are liable to keep it safe. And in case of any failure in implementing or maintaining such security policies, such data is lost and it leads to any harm or damage to such a person, they can be made to pay over up to rupees 5 crores in damages to such a person. However, the problem with this law is, A, it is, its enforcement is next to negligible. Let me be very clear. Secondly, we as a people are not aware about our own rights under the Information Technology Act. So most of the time, such a breach would even happen. Employees would just, throw up their hands and say, "Oh, kya kar sakte hain?" and just let it go. Nobody would actually pursue serious legal action. Now,
so consent is a problem. I mean, when you get employed in a company and you've agreed to certain things, there is no option to opt out. Then there's
absolutely true.
barely anything one can do about it.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Now, post the implementation of the Personal Data Protection Bill, which is now pending before the Joint Parliamentary Committee, there rumor has it that Meenakshi Lekhi ji, who is the head of the committee, will be putting out her report in early March on the bill, and the government will take it forward. Now, that bill, much like the GDPR, will give us a ownership of our own data. Now, in the previous context, like I said, the Information Technology Act does not give me ownership of my data. It only says that if in case such data which was lying with somebody else was misused, I'm entitled to such and such damages. I don't really own my data there. However, here in the personal data protection bill, I will own my data from the get-go, and the liability to keep it safe will lie with the person who seeks to collect it, much like Tapsi said.
Okay, wonderful. So great to have this discussion. So what's your take? Like हम अपनी privacy को कैसे समझे और हम कैसे नहीं पता है but कहाँ से सीखे? तो one line for both of you, like why should we know privacy and how we can protect ourselves, our privacy? और अगर जैसे तापसी ने बोला बिल्कुल correct कि as an employee हमसे पूछा ही नहीं जाता, हम पे थोप दिया जाता है ये system है ले लो, आपको कोई consent देने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो यहाँ पे जब तक bill नहीं आता तब तक हम कैसे अपने आप को प्रोटेक्ट करें? So both of you can answer. Any of you can answer.
Well, if Tapsi is willing, I'll start off and then she can take over.
Sure, please.
The fact is that there are civil watch groups such as the Internet Freedom Foundation or the Electronic Freedom Frontier that are already active in this space. But both these entities do need a certain amount of public help. They do need public support. The public can approach them. There are softwares that you can use. For example, I have been using instead of Android what is called F-Droid, which basically makes sure that my data resides on my device and is not transmitted left, right, and center. Apple has become quite active in its privacy notifications, which has angered Facebook to no end, but that is the way it goes. There are softwares, there are privacy focused browsers such as Firefox, which you can use. There is DuckDuckGo, a search engine instead of Google. There are many other websites that you can rely on. All it will take is a simple web search. All you have to do is change 5 to 10 apps on your phone, and it can increase your privacy many-fold. However, the fact still remains that what needs to be done is that privacy, I believe, should be taught as a right across our higher education system. Only then will we make sure that all professionals, all students realize the true value of it. Even the upcoming administration and the governance of this country can be focused on ensuring the civil liberties of its people. Over to you, Tapsi.
Wonderful.
Absolutely, totally agree with what Dinkar mentioned. And like I had said before, being a mother, I sit in these online classes that my kid attends. And often there are pictures posted on Facebook or there are pictures posted of the classroom. All of these are threats. I mean, there's no consent taken for parents. There's no consent taken. Definitely, children can't consent. So as guardians, as individuals, however, we need to now realize how this information that's going out, not just us, our children, how this can affect us in the long run. As employees, like again, there is very little you can do about it, but one can read fine print. One can opt out if you have that option. For example, WhatsApp recently came up with a privacy privacy policy specifically designed for the Indian jurisdiction, which was absolutely absurd. It doesn't give you an option to choose. It doesn't give you an opt-out option at all. It was challenged in court, and surprisingly, the court said it's your. I mean, it's a social media platform. You don't want to join, don't join. Which is not the right attitude to privacy. I mean, it has to be appreciated that if I want to use a certain app, if I want to use a certain platform, I should get that choice of how to do it. But well, if it is not available, then better move out of WhatsApp, move to other apps which don't give you that option. So as a layman or as common people, I think what we need to do is read the cookie policies. We usually just say I agree to in our rush to move forward कि हाँ बस हाँ कर देते हैं आगे बढ़े. Surprisingly, recently there was a FMCG which started pitching certain products, online delivery. I could log into their website or become a member and order certain goods from their website. In the process of becoming a member, they asked me for my KYC. And they asked me to upload pictures of that KYC. Now, I don't want to do it, and I refuse to do it. And it's a loss for them. They lose a customer because they don't appreciate that this is not information that they require. I'm paying money for the goods I'm buying from you. There's nothing else you need. So this responsible collection of data, it's of course a responsibility on the corporate. In the back end, they're doing lots of things which are not permissible. But as a consumer, I also have responsibility to ensure that my privacy is not compromised. So whatever one can do is, ignorance is bliss, but it's better to be wise.
Wow, sweet. I think better to be voice till then आप लोग और हम लोग कोशिश करें और ये बिल पास कराएं और भारत में भी ऐसा कोई बिल बने जहां पे we make sure that each and every electronics be scrutinized when they take data from you, especially your biometric data. I think that is important. Thank you so much, Dinkar. I mean, बहुत सारी बातें की मेरे को
Thank you
तो
for having me.
और 2 घंटे में और कुछ सीखूं आपसे, but time का थोड़ा shortage है, but we'll do definitely next sessions. Thank you so much, Tapsi, for being on the show. Thank you so much, Dinkarji, for your valuable time and so great insight. Lovely.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Lovely.